Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of
Orthodoxy Q&A.
All right. Sarah's back. She's joining us again. We did not punish her enough on the first show, so she came back.
So you're stuck with me.
That's right.
That's
so
everyone's
crack
penance.
the whip harder. Okay. So
yeah, that's everyone's penance.
so that's right. But no, we we enjoy having different people on the show because each one provides some different engagement.
Yeah.
But again, as always, Presbyter has already briefed you that the most important thing you can do is to keep me out of heresy, because I will say something just
I'll do my best,
totally
Father.
stupid, right? and then the look on your face, or when you see the look on her face, like,
If I'm like,
I did not learn that in catechism. Okay, that would be right. That would be your signal to correct me. Got my phone here just in case. Terry texted me also,
and
right?
I have mine
And
as
I
well.
put mine on mute there. So the way I wanted to open the show, Tuesday Bible study, right?
Yes.
And so we had a discussion. A question came up about yoga, and so I have to go back, and now I have to what's that when you go back, retract?
Yeah, retract or recant.
I must recant now what I said, and mostly based on what you said. So when people had asked me about yoga, I always said, okay, you can't be involved in the mantra of yoga, but the poses and the stretching and everything like that is okay. But you said something I did not realize about yoga. Tell me that again.
Yeah, so this was something I didn't realize. I used to practice yoga as well because it was and still is a great exercise. However, there is more to it than that, where there is a spiritual reality as well that we as Orthodox should be aware of. So each pose is a salutation to a different Hindu deity. So we really have to be careful of that. So there's no way to neatly kind of extract, that component of it. So long story short, it's not something we should be doing because it's not just stretching and we're only to give glory to God. So if you are interested in just stretching, I recommend Pilates.
Yes,
which is
you
great,
give us an alternate, right?
Yes, that's a great alternative.
Pilates, okay.
Yeah, but even so, it goes beyond, like you said, just not saying the mantras. It's the physical movement of the body as well, which ties into the Hindu beliefs of opening up your chakras and aligning your energy. Yeah. So,
right. So it's, they probably don't tell you that in the beginning, right? That's something that, you learn later on. So I've got to recant on that. I've got to change my position now that I've never understood that before. So I appreciate you bringing that forward, so that we all can learn.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
So stay flexible, my friends.
You can always try the yoga version, as the Klingon version of yoga.
Which is what, death? Like some kind of death dance?
There was a Klingon version of yoga.
Really?
In Star Trek: The Next Generation. I forget what it's called. But
okay.
It
Worf
exists.
was not.
This is like peak nerdom, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Like,
100%. Come on, you've spoken Klingon on the show. You're not aware of Klingon yoga.
Yeah, that's true. And I did and I did find the Christos Anesti in Klingon, and I did do it when I was in Flint. I did it one time, and they're all looking at me like, "What are you doing?"
It all makes sense now. It all makes sense.
See, okay,
yes.
there you go.
I think it's called Makbara or something like that. But
okay. So
okay, so real quick, thank you everybody for joining us. Last week we had a bit of a technical disaster. We had an issue.
Disaster. We had technical difficulties.
Well, Father sounded like RoboCop for a few instances, but nevertheless, thank you all for joining us tonight. And I say let's get cracking. Do you have something you want to speak about, Father, beforehand? Or
that's what I want to speak about.
That
was what I want to speak about.
Did you also want to mention our trip to Hagia Skepi as well? You had mentioned that before.
Yeah, so we
mention that quickly.
We took a and again organized by Sarah. She brought it up, and my policy is if you bring it up, then you're in charge. Okay, so she has learned that valuable lesson now.
Yes.
And so she helped organize because you've been there several times with a number of our ladies here. I got to know some of the nuns there. Yes. And it was a very, very beautiful trip. I had never been there before. There was another group that was there from St. Thomas Greek Orthodox Church in New Jersey somewhere, which I'm sure we overwhelmed the nuns with like 80 of us there. You know, I mean, we
Yes.
had 20, almost 25. They had about 60 or
Yes.
something like that. So it was a huge group for them, but they were just, you know, just so kind and fun.
Yes.
I mean, they were, you know, they were jovial and, you know,
yes.
and Sister
Marina
Marina took us around on the tour
Mhm.
and showed us that wonderful iconography,
Yes.
just absolutely beautiful iconography, some of which I have never seen before.
Yes.
Some really interesting iconography.
Mhm.
One of them was from the, it was either,
Adam and Eve being exiled from the
but
from
by
paradise.
Christ,
Yes.
by Christ,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Then it was God calling to Ezekiel
Yes.
to put bone, or he asked
Speak
God
to the bones.
speak to the bones,
Yes.
and then they rose, and
Mhm.
and I've never seen an icon
No,
of that.
neither have
So
I.
it was a wonderful trip. I think we spent 5-6 hours,
Mhm.
No, yeah, and we ended with the Vesper
Yes.
service there,
Mhm.
which all of a sudden everybody left going, wow, pews are nice. I like pews. They're not Orthodox, but I like pews.
Yes.
All right. So yes, that was a beautiful trip. And where are we going next?
Oh, St. Nectarios.
St. Nectarios, right.
Yes.
So
All right.
that's our intro comments
Mhm.
for tonight.
All right, let's get going.
Okay, do we have any questions?
We have plenty.
Oh,
You ready,
okay.
Father?
One or two.
We'll see.
Okay. Starting with Cooking with Beebug. By the way, I love your cookbook. It's fantastic. So thank you.
Oh yeah, so we are on recipe 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Terry is like,
brilliant.
she's
I
on fire with
know.
that cookbook.
Yes.
So far,
That's
every
great.
one of them have been awesome.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about them is they don't have meat. But I guess that's why it's a Lenten cookbook, right?
We're going to edit that out
Yeah.
later. No, just kidding.
No,
Okay.
I'll just put on repeat. It'll be a highlight for the week.
But no, it's absolutely a great cookbook.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Terry and I love it.
Yes. So thank you so much for that. And he has a great question. We know little about some apostles, but there are apocryphal gospels attributed to them, such as the Gospel of Thomas or the Gospel of Judas, often containing heretical teachings. Does the Orthodox Church consider these texts blasphemous? And are they truly from the apostles they claim to be? Great question.
Yeah, it is because many of those are off, the best that we can date them are at least 100 to 200 years after
Yes. Mhm.
After the death of Christ, and for canonicity, we need to have either first-person witness to Christ or second-person witness. So Mark,
okay.
Mark taking down Peter's notes, right?
Mhm.
Luke, then
Yep.
right. So and those we can substantiate that level of witness. Okay, now from an Orthodox perspective, they are what we would call theologumena, that they are interesting to read, but they're not salvific in of
Right.
themselves.
Right.
There's one that, and I'm trying to remember whether it's the Proto-Evangelion of James or whether it's the one of the Theotokos, where it gives this whole account of Jesus as a boy, and
okay.
stories
Yes.
of him
Yes.
as a boy. Okay, again, that really doesn't help our salvation. We don't really necessarily know if those stories are actually true.
Right.
Some of them are a little bit more dangerous, like the one where I think it's Christ before he's betrayed by Judas. He tells Judas, something to the effect of, "Don't worry, everybody will be universalism, right?
yes.
Everybody will be saved."
Mhm.
So some of them, yes, are heretical, but again, because they were dated so far in away from Christ's death, we can't be sure of their authenticity. So we don't really know the authors necessarily. We can't say that those are the actual authors, right? And as Wesley Huff said, which is very interesting, if you want credibility, you will use the name of an apostle, right? I mean, if I say the Evangelion of Angelo, people are like, but if I say the Evangelion of, the famous Demos, the Demosthenes Gospels, okay, now people are going to want to read that. So
Yes.
I thought that was an interesting comment too.
Very true.
Those are the best gospels.
Yes, the Demosthenes Gospels.
Yes. There's a tithing ritual, which is fantastic.
Of course there is. Okay. So next up, we have a prayer request, Father, and we also have a question from Marcelo. Father, could you please pray for the souls affected by the natural disasters in America and the 59 departed and 200 injured in the fire in Macedonia?
Oh, that's right. So there was a club.
Yes.
There was a dance club or something like that. And again, safety concerns. The way that I heard it on the Greek news, it was almost 1,500 people with a single exit.
Oh, wow.
Now, again, that's what I heard on the Greek news. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily true, but it sounds like, there's situations where safety is not the top concern. It's a terrible tragedy, but it's something that could be avoided, right?
Yeah.
So actually, we do have. Okay.
And you didn't have to get up for a book. You had it
right,
ready.
I'm trying to,
Wow.
There are certain things I know I'm going to get up for, so I have those.
After 4 years, he's starting to get the hang of it.
I
I'm
know.
very, very proud of him.
I am too. We're gonna have to change the bingo rules pretty soon. So.
All right. So it was for the people that died in the nightclub in Macedonia.
Yes, and the natural disasters in America.
Here.
Yeah.
This America?
I'm assuming maybe some wildfires that are going on.
Oh, there have been quite a few over. Yeah. I mean, South Carolina, Long Island had a fire. There have been quite a few.
But there's fires, flooding also, right? You know, okay. All right. So glory to the Father, to the Son, the Holy Spirit, now and forever, to the ages of ages. Amen. O God, our help in time of need, who are just and merciful and inclines to the supplication of his people, we ask that you look down upon us and have mercy on us and deliver us from the troubles that beset us now. And we acknowledge that we are deserving of our suffering. We acknowledge and believe that all the trials of this life are disposed by you for our chastisement when we drift away from you and disobey your commandment. But we ask that you deal with us not according to our iniquities, but according to your manifold mercies, for we are the works of your hands. And also we ask for your divine helping grace to endow all of those who are suffering with patience and strength to endure their tribulations and also to submit to your will. For you know our misery and suffering, and you are our only hope, our only refuge, and we flee to you for relief, comfort, and trust in your infinite love and compassion, and that in due time, when you know best, you will deliver us from these troubles and these turmoils, and in turn, turn our distress into comfort. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, now and forever, to the ages of ages. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so we'll finish the question portion, and then we have a couple of super chats.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so this is Marcelo's question.
Okay.
Given Jesus' statement in Matthew 19:24, is it then forbidden to seek worldly riches, even if one strives to live an orthodox life in accordance with biblical and canonical law?
Matthew
19:24.
Matthew 19:24. Terry would be so proud that I actually know how to turn right to it. A little tougher in the Old Testament, but I'm good in the Matthew 19 what?
19:24.
24. Just so I can read it here. Okay.
It's a great question.
Okay, so this one here. Now behold, one had come to him and said, "What may I do to have eternal life?" Okay, and so Jesus then talks to him about and says, "If you want to be perfect, which is we interpret as the monastic life,
Yes,
okay."
yes.
Go sell what you have, give to the poor, and you will have treasures in heaven. Come and follow me. Okay. And then Jesus said to his disciples, "Assuredly I say to you, it is hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven," because it is difficult to not worship material things, right? Yeah. We are, especially in this country, we are taught that we need to keep up with the Joneses, right? So, I've worked hard. Why can't I have a nice car? Why can't I have a nice house? Right. Why can't I go to Vegas every month? Why can't I go golfing? Okay. And I say to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. He doesn't say it is impossible. Right. So in this case, there's nothing wrong with riches. No, we interpret, like I said, this idea of if you want to be perfect, but and we should strive for perfection, but we live in the world. You're married, I'm married, Demos is married. We have spouses that we have to look after. So we have jobs. So we do live in a material world, and so we're not called to live in a cardboard box.
Right.
We're not called for communal meals necessarily. But when we can enjoy those things and be reminded, like the trip that we just went to, then that reminds us of what is the goal.
Yes.
And without that, we don't know what perfection looks like.
Yes. And you've also pointed this out in the past, Father, that there are both Old and New Testament saints who were of means, such as Abraham, Job, Lydia also.
Lydia, right, because the purple dye manufacturer, right? Yes.
So,
the centurion, the rich man centurion, he had his son cured, right? And none of them were told to give up their riches.
Right. So.
All right, our first super chat, $10 from KED. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to see you again. KED says, I'm a newbie. At coffee on Sunday, everyone was stressed out. I made a comment about the weird stress level. The response was, of course we're stressed. It's Lent. It's normal. Can you explain?
Now, they bring up a good point. I was always under the impression growing up that Lent is the spiritual time, that everything is going to be fine and I'm just going to, and what I ended up finding out, especially at seminary where I thought for sure, man, I'm going to be spiritually uplifted and I'm going to be sitting on a cloud. I'm going to be doing the whole transfiguration thing, and it was horrible. I mean, Lent was like the time that just everything crashes down upon you, and it is a very humbling experience. Okay, so to some extent, yes, you are stressed out at Lent because this is the time, when God, is offering you trials. He's not testing you, but he's offering you these trials, and struggles for you to understand that all of this stuff you're doing really isn't the end goal, right? The end goal is to do his will, and this humility, trying to reestablish our humility, is a very stressful thing. I don't know if you've felt stressed, but when people come to me and they say, "Oh, Father, my Lent's not going the way that I thought," I said, "No, your Lent's going exactly the way it should go." All right.
This Lent is easier for me. I still consider myself a baby Orthodox, even though I just had my 1-year Orthodox anniversary on St. Patrick's Day. But this Lent is, quote, easier for me because I'm not trying to do all of the things that I was doing last year where I was like, I'm going to go all in. I'm not going to eat anything. I'm avoiding everything. And it was my pride. I got kicked in the face. Like the Holy Spirit humbled me very quickly. So,
but I don't think that you have less stress, but now you understand it. You can see it for what it is. Okay.
So I'm better able to manage it. So, yes. But it's definitely a period of refinement. Mm-hmm. So, great question.
Right. Our next super chat, $10 super chat, is from Kiki. Always a pleasure to see you. She says, good evening, Father Maggos and family. God bless. Thank you for all you do. My husband loves you too. His name is Michael.
Okay. Hi, Michael.
Please pray for my nephew, Andreas, in England. He has cancer.
Oh, okay.
So sorry to hear.
Absolutely. And again, we also pray not only for the doctors to employ the cure, to employ the means for his cure, but also to grant you strength, as you support him and guide him too.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to read this one thing because I know that Sarah won't. Scrambled Egg says, I love the co-host tonight. She was very good last time.
Wow. That's so sweet. Thank you so much.
Isn't that nice? There you go.
I appreciate it. Well, I have Demos to help me look good. And Father helps me look good, too, because he makes so many mistakes. So it just helps me.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay.
He's going to give me penance for that later. So,
and why can't I memorize this? Why can't I memorize this, that Jamaican word?
Which one?
Botsea.
Botsea.
I gotta remember that. I'm getting the piece.
You did that really good.
Yeah, but I messed up because I was thinking of Yoko Ono, and it's not, and it's Unu.
Yes, Unu. Very good, right. Very good, Father.
Thinking of Yoko Ono always breaks your head up.
Yeah,
she's good at that.
Yeah, especially when she sings. Oh.
Yes. Also breaking things up.
Oh, okay. David Stewart has a question. Ooh, and this is kind of a Catholic question, Father.
Okay.
Question. I was curious. Do Catholic priests that convert to Orthodoxy, are they immediately made a priest? Can they get married before becoming an Orthodox priest? Wow. Great question, David.
So there's their priesthood is as valid as our priesthood is. So there's no reordaining or anything like that. But with Orthodox, you have to make the decision for marriage before you are ordained. So they would retain their celibate status.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Good to know.
Oh, also, David is their priest decided to they should be chrismated with his kids into Orthodoxy, so he's on that process.
Oh wow!
Well, he would not be chrismated.
Glory to God! Last time my priest decided I should be chrismated with my kids into Orthodoxy.
Oh, chrismated. I'm sorry. Yes, he would be chrismated. Yes, because he has to accept the Orthodox faith. Yes, and denounce. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes. You're right. Right.
So congratulations.
I know. Huge congratulations.
Yeah, huge congratulations.
Yes. We're celebrating with you.
You know, I mean, just very quickly, I'm now seeing, I think Orthodoxy is now discovering, what the Catholic Church has known for a long time, that if you put yourself out there, you're going to get hit. Okay. And now what I'm seeing is and again, it's my favorite word. I'm seeing a plethora, but one, I don't think you know what plethora means.
You keep using that word.
I
don't think you know what it means.
Word, but I don't know you think you know what that means. So, but there is now this plethora of videos on YouTube videos that say, here is why you should not convert to Orthodoxy. Yes. So, it kind of peaked. And now all of a sudden it's kind of on the other side. So now, they're saying, yeah, you think you're good? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, here you go. So
wow. Well, we'll see how that turns out.
Well, we're working on some responses to some of those ideas. But I should point out that the video that you should look for this week is Father's reaction to The Chosen. Oh. So that's coming out.
I can't wait.
Do you know what at least the number one response for not being Orthodox is?
No, what is it?
Think about it. It's the one thing that you didn't suffer from. They're too ethnic.
Oh.
They're too ethnic.
I'm sorry, but as a former Catholic, forgive me, the Catholic Church can be pretty ethnic too. I mean,
I thought they were mostly Americanized.
That's true. I went to an Italian, Catholic church, and Ed grew up Irish Catholic, so they can be. I think that's a little bit different now. But there was actually there was an SNL skit about Catholics going on vacation to Jamaica, and they're like, "Well, let's go to mass," and it's going to be exactly the same. And no,
oh, I got to see that one.
It was great. So. But come and see. If you're curious and you're Catholic, just come and see.
Come and see, right?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry, I got off.
Okay. So I'm so don't speak Portuguese.
Mr. Dos Santos, Yanni from Brazil.
Okay,
from Brazil.
Henrique yes. Dos Santos.
And again, Yanni, thank you very much for the book. I'm trying to dive into that now. So you sent me an interesting book about one of the bishops in South America, one of the Orthodox bishops of South America, and his journey to bringing Orthodoxy into South America. So yes,
we also need to figure out what we're gonna do when we're gonna do our show in Brazil. So let's we're gonna
let Yanni finish school.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Amazing. Blessed Father, good evening to all. My question is if a Greek Orthodox priest is invited to preside the celebration of the Divine Liturgy for extraordinary reasons and for a period of time in a Serbian, Romanian, or other church and communion, and he is fluent in the language of the church who invited him, he may celebrate it after receiving the authorization of the hierarchs? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, again, he has to have two permissions. One, he has to have the permission of his presiding bishop to leave and to be able to go. Yeah. And then he has to receive the permission of the bishop of the geographic area he's entering into to be allowed to serve. Okay. Wow. Once those, and that's for anything. Okay. And once those permissions are granted, then he can go and serve, and whatever, if he's fluent in the language, hallelujah, that's awesome. good friend of mine who is Panamanian on one side and Greek on the other. He's serving a Spanish parish, Spanish Orthodox parish in Miami, and he does the liturgy pretty much in Spanish.
Wow. Amazing.
All right, we have a $10 super chat. Thank you from Doxa Totheo. Good evening, Father, Demos, and Sarah.
Hi.
It's Spiridon and Hermione. If a priest...
I wonder who that is.
Yeah.
My favorites.
If a priest is a widower, can he take a monastic vow and later become a bishop? Blessings.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. So there's two ways. I always get around to tell you about this. There's two ways that a priest can become a bishop. One is if his wife agrees to become a nun. That's why Carrie laughed.
Presbytera and I are out of here.
Okay, yeah.
It's you and me, girl.
So, yeah. So if Ed decides that he wants to go to a monastery, you can become a nun. Okay? So, so that's one way. The other way is if his spouse does pass away, then yes, he can become a bishop, or he can actually enter into a monastery. He'll always retain his priesthood. So he would be a priest monk, right?
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yes. Great question. And I love the handle too. It's kind of like my license plates.
And when I first heard that, I thought it was you.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
So,
yeah, but I was limited to 8 characters, so I couldn't have the tull.
Gotcha.
Yes. Okay, next question from Fyodor Dostoevsky. While debating evolution with a friend, I made the point it's compatible with Orthodox theology. He made the point that evolution presumes suffering, so it can't be. Was there suffering before the fall? That's the first part of the question. And could Genesis be reinterpreted as God using pain to bring his creatures into being, and the fall being a spiritual fall rather than a physical?
So according to Orthodoxy, the fall is actual, and the reason it's actual is because of the presence of death. Death is a reality. I mean, there's no way getting around reality, and also, there was no suffering before. This is why God made the point to say, and now you will work by the sweat of your brow, and O Eve, you will now bear children through travail. Yes. Right? Okay. Yeah. So suffering was introduced through disobedience. So there was no suffering before. I mean, because again, they could only turn their eyes to God, right? They had no knowledge of good and evil, right? Okay. They only had knowledge. So in that sense, no suffering. But was there a part of that I didn't answer?
The other part was, and could Genesis be reinterpreted as God using pain to bring his creatures into being, and the fall being a spiritual fall rather than physical? So you touched on that.
I touched on that.
Yeah,
so right, there's not pain in creation.
Yes.
Now, normally we skip second questions and we come back to them later in the show if we have time. But I think we should answer Mr. Dostoevsky's second question because it's very interesting.
I think so too. It's a good one, Father.
Okay.
I just got accepted to Notre Dame, and I will probably commit. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well done. Do you have any advice about maintaining/practicing my Orthodox faith at a predominantly Catholic school?
Well, okay. So number one, don't throw it in their face. Okay. Nobody likes that. We wouldn't like that, and so certainly don't do that. However, during your studies, what I would encourage you to do is to challenge the Catholic position with Orthodox theology in a debate manner, not in a prideful manner, but in a debate manner. So it's important that we know who we are debating with. Right?
Yeah.
So you have to know Protestantism if you're going to engage with the Protestant. Yes. You have to know Catholicism. So take the time to study. Don't approach Catholicism with the idea of, this is all a bunch of garbage. Not saying that you would do that, but you should, when the opportunity presents itself, to engage then in theology that is not antithetical, but is different from ours.
Hmm.
Filioque,
Yes. Mhm.
The perpetual virginity.
Immaculate conception.
Immaculate conception of Virgin Mary.
Purgatory.
Purgatory, the Pope, those things. So
Having a sense of
engage
humor.
those.
I'm just kidding.
Don't
Don't cancel me, please.
That's hilarious. So along those lines, let's see. One of the talk show hosts that we listen to quite a bit. Council of Trent.
Yes, Trent Horn. Yes.
Trent Horn.
Mhm.
He brought up along these lines. He brought up an excellent point, and he talked about new atheism. So old
Yes.
atheism was just angry and grumpy,
Yes.
right? So it was easy to engage them because they didn't know anything. So it was just pretty easy. What Trent said is this new generation of atheists now are very learned.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to be on our game because these people have read St. John Chrysostom. They've read Ansel. They've read Augustine. So if we start quoting the fathers, they're going to say yes. But St. John Chrysostom and St. Gregory also said.
Yeah.
So this is going to be more difficult for us now.
Yeah.
This is not just an easy. Well, you're just a dumb person. These are intellectuals now. So we have to be. Trent said we got to be very careful. We got to be on our game now.
Yeah. And I would just quickly add to that, just approach it with humility. You've told me to be a silent witness. I still have family that are Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And approach each conversation like you have something to learn instead of something to prove. And that can kind of,
something to learn, not something to prove.
Yeah,
yes,
that can really open things up. So,
nice
yeah.
said.
Okay, so moving on. DNLL987 asks, my family friend who is Greek Orthodox said if you have family that's not Orthodox, you can have a wedding like at a venue or wherever and also have one at the church. Is that true?
Well, if they're not Orthodox, they can't have it at the church. They can have it. They can have it at another venue, and that's not a problem. And you can attend that event. You can't participate in the event, but you can attend the event. I mean, we get questions from time to time about people that are torn over what to do. I'm Orthodox and now they're getting married in the Catholic Church or they're getting married in the Protestant Church. What do I do? Their family, go. Okay,
Yeah.
Celebrate with them. All right, but you just can't participate.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, Wildhaven asks, so Genesis is just wrong according to you for not being interpreted 100% literally?
So I said the way that the Orthodox interpret it. If we look at Jewish belief, there is a strain of there is a vein of Judaism that does see it in a more of a spiritual light. Okay, but Orthodoxy views that. I know that there are some that view that in just a spiritual light, but for Orthodoxy, we do not deny that the creator of the universe brought this earth and its people and its creatures into creation. And so we do interpret that literally, that we do have a primary cause, and out of that cause came our four parents, if we want to call them that, and then out of that then comes the future generations. So yes, we as Orthodox take that literally.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a hello from Boston from Nicholas. I'm going to see if I can pronounce this. It's Greek. Herosterios.
Okay.
Close enough. Thanks,
like
Demos. Happy spring. Happy spring to you too.
Okay. Yes, this was yesterday or today was first day of spring.
I think we're in the equinox right now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, Justify X.
But are we in the age of Aquarius? The age of Aquarius?
Presbytera, I'm so sorry.
A little Fifth Dimension in there. I had to throw in there. So.
I do like that band. I do. Okay. Justify X. Here we go.
And my mom likes my singing.
What if we don't? Oh, boy. I'm dreading my next confession. Okay. Justify X has a question, and we need to answer it.
Okay.
Has God always had a human essence, or did he gain it after the incarnation?
He took his flesh from Mary.
Yeah.
So yes. So because if he had it already, then what part would Mary play? So and that's why she said, "Let it be according to your will." So that this is what she offered then to him, so that he could then incarnate.
So just a quick follow up on that. So the theophanies in the Old Testament, Christ was not. He was not incarnate at that time.
He was not incarnate at that time.
Okay.
Correct. Right.
Okay. Great. Okay. Migs 2682 has a great question. What Marian and Saint apparitions does the OC believe happened?
Well, I mean, I think the Catholics have numerous sightings of the Virgin Mary and things. So I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, the best I can say is that the Orthodox certainly believes that the Virgin Mary has appeared, in many instances. In fact, at Ieskepi, right, that is an instance where she appeared to save. Was it the
city of Constantinople?
The city of Constantinople, but this was not that. This was another. Ieskepi was another village or town that she came to protect, right? So in those senses, we believe that yes, she has come back to offer us, to help. And again, not salvation as Jesus offers, but literally saving.
Yes. Okay. So we have a question from Sergio Chumacero. Is Origen condemned heretical as a person, or rather only some of his teachings?
Only some of his teachings. I mean, the Hexapla, which is the translation of six different languages. I think it aligns I'm trying to remember now how this works. And I've got to look that up again. It's been a while. But he is, the Hexapla was something that was used by many of the church fathers in their theological studies. So that was a great contribution that he made. But unfortunately, his idea of universalism that extended to Satan being redeemed and his self-castration kind of put him outside of the church. But much of what was brought about by the 4th century church fathers was predicated on works that Origen did. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
All right, we have greetings and love from Carol, Patty, and quite a few thank yous for answering questions. So you're very welcome.
Yes.
Thank you. And we enjoy the questions.
Yes. Very good. Okay. Next up, Richard Rudolph. Oh, excuse me. No, let's back up to Chasa. Can you pray for a woman I know that is in the ICU that is named Maria? Thank you.
All right. Oh, wait a minute. We have one of those.
Yeah. We have a prayer
and
for
if you're going to read a prayer out loud, might as well include Andreas from earlier as well.
Oh, okay. So it's Maria and Andreas, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I think we're hitting a new record. We're nearly 45 minutes in.
Wow.
And he hasn't stood up yet.
Oh, yes, look at that.
Wow.
See?
You know the next question, like that just ruined it.
Maybe, but I can see quite a few people who are playing bingo that need that space.
Well, they got to ask a question that's going to... Okay, let us pray to the Lord. Lord, have mercy. O Lord, Jesus Christ, our God, who did patiently endure the scourging and the wounding of your most holy body, and that you might save the souls and bodies of your people, we ask that you graciously look upon the suffering servants, Maria and Andreas, and grant them strength to patiently endure whatever you see fit to lay upon them. Also, bless the means employed for the working out of their cure, and grant your healing strength to the doctors who will effect his curing, and so that he may endure their sufferings in the flesh and the wounding of their body, for the avail of the correcting and salvation of their soul. For it is yours to show mercy and to save, O Christ our God. And unto you send up glories with your everlasting Father and your all holy, good, and life-giving Spirit, now and forever to the ages of ages. Amen. I like that one because it asks for the prayer to the doctors.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that so we could lift you up in prayer. Okay, Richard Rudolph. Lynn says hi, and she loves you.
Lynn, look out. Next week we have our newest virtual Sunday school, so keep an eye out for that. She's a big
Wow.
fan.
Oh, okay. All right.
Wow,
Good.
wow.
Well, hopefully she's a Sunday school teacher using it in her Sunday school.
She's a little girl.
Oh, well, then she's using it in the Sunday school.
Yeah,
Right.
there we go.
Okay.
So Richard asked, would it be wrong of me to ask my priest if I could be baptized in the river?
You can ask. Nothing wrong with asking, you know. I mean, you know, I don't see why we couldn't do it, but
Isn't it, what about sacraments having to happen in the church?
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
you see,
a
there you
little
go.
bit,
Yeah, very
yeah.
good. Okay.
See?
Yeah. So right. So you know, again, there are exceptions to the rule. Okay. But generally, the rule is that unless there's a valid reason for that, like we can serve liturgy in the field because there's not a church around, we're not going to go to church. All right, but yeah, Demos is right. Unless there is a good reason otherwise, then it must be the sacrament must be celebrated in the church.
Or you can always divert the river, so
It goes through the church,
yeah,
right?
There we go. Don't do that.
And I just have to say this for the record. Demos is always right, Father. He's
Joe
always
is right.
right.
Don't give him a big
No.
head. That's all he needs.
You can tell my wife that, but I wouldn't say that.
We'll discuss it on the Real Housewives of Orthodoxy.
See, yes,
so,
yeah,
yes.
which I'm looking forward to that show. I think that's going to be a great show. The
It's going to be
Housewives of
great.
Orthodoxy.
It's going to be great.
Okay.
All right. So let's go down to Michaelis 9. Father, is there an etiquette for asking a priest or monk to be your spiritual father? Not in the father confessor sense, but the permanent spiritual director sense. Oh, that's a great question. I've never thought of that.
Yeah, and in fact, that's exactly the way that it goes, because spiritual fathers cannot be assigned. You have to make a connection with that person. You know, I mean, yes, I've heard where, you know, like at seminary, okay, they would assign you a spiritual father. That was not my spiritual father because I didn't connect with him. But there was somebody that I found who I did connect with. And so he kind of became my spiritual father. Not that we ever said, I want you and I'm your spiritual. It was just organic. It just came about. So there's rather than, you know, come out and ask, then basically what you have to do is just continue to use him in that way. Okay, right? That you go to him, and at some point, you know, he may say to you, you know, I noticed that you come to me quite a bit. Is there somebody else that you? And then you can say, you know, I've really appreciated your guidance. You personally have helped me quite a bit, and I look at you as a spiritual father. And then you kind of see what the response is, right? But it's not like I want you. You know, it's not Uncle Sam
Like
poster,
tag you're
right?
it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
You know, I think this is the fastest we've ever hit bingo. We have bingo from
What?
from Don.
What did I do?
No, this is actually from a little bit ago. I didn't get a chance to call it out.
Yeah, but I didn't do enough stuff for bingo.
Apparently, Don.
You started singing.
Yeah, Don in
Yeah.
all caps gave me the bingo, and now, you know, there's a second.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
there is
man.
a second part. You know, he's going for the blackouts. Let's see who gets the blackout.
Wow.
Wow, this is an
Yeah.
exciting.
Man, I can't believe that
exciting
we got
night.
bingo.
I know.
So that was your blessing, Don. Congratulations.
So let's go down to Steve Lenoris. Question. Can you explain the Apostolic Canon 18, which seems to prohibit priests from being married to actresses or other females working on the stage?
So, you know, without a lengthy, you know, explanation there, we have to look at the culture of the time. So, well, actually, we're talking about actors and actresses now. I mean, yeah. You know, the lifestyle of you know, of actresses and actors at that time, okay, was something that was not on par with a Christian life.
Right.
I mean, in terms of, you know, that they, and that's why I say, they typically, you know, they drank too much. There was a lot of partying. There was usually, you know, sex was not monogamous, right? You know, so their value system did not coincide with Christianity. I mean, to some extent, you can say that about some of Hollywood today, right?
Mhm.
You know, So
for sure.
So that was so at the time it just was a lifestyle that was not in concert with Christian values. And if the priest is supposed to be the example of Christian values, then it wouldn't be appropriate. He'd be given the wrong example.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's just incompatible with the lifestyle. Yeah.
Which included, because there's canons in there about that you shall not go into a public house. You shall not go into a gambling den, right?
Yeah.
So because again, those were all the people that were associated with that were not necessarily, and again, you're not Jesus, right? Jesus can do that. Okay. He can talk to sinners and prostitutes and all that, but you're not Jesus. So you got to be careful.
Very good. Okay. Jack Pest has a very interesting question. You ready, Father?
I think, well, we'll see.
It's getting a little spicy. So why do monks have higher rates of prostate cancer? Some say maybe lack of activity. They also have high rates of lung issues due to close quarter living, yet they don't get it or sells it. I noticed it.
I want to see that study because the vast majority of monks that I know die in their 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the nuns that we saw.
Yes.
I mean, I just don't see sick monks. I just don't see it. So if you have that data, I want to see the source of that data, because that is absolutely contrary to what I know and what I've witnessed.
It might also be specific to certain parts of the world. We're also looking at it from a very American lens here.
Mm-hmm.
Please email us at agocny@gmail.com with that stats, because we'd like to see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we have so many thank yous and hellos. Thank you. I'm happy to be here too.
We do appreciate the thank yous.
I know.
We
That's
thank
so
you for the thank
sweet.
yous.
Okay.
See, I think they're thanking me for singing. So while you're looking up some questions, I'm going to be singing another song.
So, okay, if you want to go there,
ask
Father.
quickly.
Yeah, you talked about break dancing. Well, you talked about disco dancing before. There's a break dancing Catholic priest on TikTok. Do you think you can match that energy? Okay.
We'll go viral for all the wrong reasons. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, there's no such thing as bad press.
Right.
I beg to differ.
That's right. I did hear that, right? There's no such thing as bad press.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, Jimmy, we're going to get to your question now. Forgive us. Hello, team. Lent started on March 3rd this year. That will be more than 40 days until Easter. Is it always like that? Thank you.
Wait a minute. I'm not sure I understand the question.
So he said Lent started on March 3rd of this year.
Okay.
That will be more than 40 days until Easter, which is on Sunday, April 20th.
Yeah. So typically it's 50 days because we don't include like Lazarus Saturday. So the entrance into Holy Week is not part of Lent.
Oh, I see.
So it's an additional time onto that.
I
So it's not the 40 days until Easter.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Thanks, Jimmy. Great question.
Yeah. And no, good. That is a good question.
Yeah. PF stats. If all religions have the same God as patriarchs, said with different names than Vikings, Odin, for example, is God. In Egypt/Greek, God is Zeus or Amun. Christ said to know them by their fruits to praise Greeks.
So the answer is no. All religions do not celebrate the same God. Only the religions of the book celebrate the same God. So that is, and I guess I know it's very controversial, but Judaism, Christianity, and Islam celebrate the one true God. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we differ from the other two because we see him in his Trinitarian sense. Yes. Okay. So we understand him as Trinitarian, but as far as the other religions go, this is not what Taoism is. This is not what Buddhism is. This is not what Hinduism is. Zoroastrianism. That's and certainly it's not Egypt or for the Vikings or anything like that. We see that as a seeing God through a very, very dark lens, right? That at that time that was the best that they could do. This is why St. Paul says, I see that you are very religious people,
Yes,
but
yes.
you have an unknown God. I know the name of that God.
Yes.
So we can't say that all religions celebrate the same God. So in that sense, it doesn't make sense to answer the rest of the question because it doesn't apply. It only applies to those Abrahamic religions.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Oh, great answer. Okay, let's go down to Aaron F. Oh, this is a great question, and I think a lot of people in our parish, especially the new catechumens and inquirers, can relate to this. So,
Okay.
when picking out the patron saint who you feel close to, is there a service for that, or is it simply choosing the saint and that's it?
There is typically there's typically a liturgy for each one of the saints. This is why on the bulletin, on the bulletin, you'll always see the name of the saints for the day.
Yep.
And so the liturgy is the same, but the hymns, right, are variable because we're honoring different saints. So it's not that we have a liturgy for the saints, but each liturgy will have the Apolitikion, the Kontakion, and the Troparia for that particular saint.
So that's a good way for, say, an inquirer or a catechumen to become familiar with some of the saints that we celebrate and kind of go from there in terms of picking out the patron saint.
And that's why the Synaxarion is so important, because it gives you this abbreviated life of your saint, right?
Yes.
And then that's a starting point, and then from there you can say, wow, that's very interesting. I'd like to read up on that.
Yeah, great. So, Father, this isn't a question, it's a comment, but this is something that is relevant to what we've been discussing in Bible study. So I'd like for you to comment on it and react to this. So Athena K says, Christ says to forgive everyone, so it's kind of odd to not forgive Judas. Even Christ said to forgive the people that put him in that position in the end. So thoughts, comments on that, Father?
So he did say, that forgive them for they know not what they do. Okay.
Yes.
So that didn't put them outside of salvation. Okay. But in the case of Judas, we have a case where he willfully chose to abandon himself rather than with Peter and Paul. Peter and Judas betrayed him.
Yes.
Right? But it was Peter who properly returned with tears of repentance and was forgiven for his betrayal. Judas did not take that option. He used his own will, and then he abandoned the forgiveness of God. So that was the improper use of his will. So,
and you've pointed out in Bible study, Father, that Christ was doing everything he could to reach Judas.
Yes, yeah, and that's something after kind of delving into that, we don't pick up on all of those things that Jesus did to say, this, come on, wake up. This is the last shot, even to the point that he holds it out to him, and the morsel of bread, and says, I'm trying to remember how he said that. The
person that takes this.
The person, right?
Yes.
The person who takes this is the one who will betray me, right? Yes. Saying that at that moment he could say, "This is what I was thinking, but I ask for your forgiveness." And then he said, "Whatever you're going to do it quickly," which means I want to be forgiven right now, or I'm going to run off and do what Satan has commanded, right?
Yeah.
So right to that last moment. So that's a great point.
Wow.
Okay. Here's another bingo one.
Oh, wow. He's getting up.
I gotta get up.
So we're what, an hour in and he's just getting up? Is this a new record?
I think so.
Wow.
I don't know where he's left the room completely.
He's breakdancing. He's practicing his moves.
What did you do? Why did you start this? Oh, let me pull out the camera.
He's practicing his disco moves. I'm not kidding.
All right, somebody have the ambulance on hand, just in case. We're gonna go viral for all the wrong reasons.
Okay, because I just recognized the fact that Terry said,
Oh.
you should be wearing your raso when you do this. And then halfway through, I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So I put it on. Okay.
Presbytera's on her way to sainthood.
Yep.
I swear.
She now text me and say, hey, good job.
So Thunder Norse has a question also about saints. Hello, Father. Can the church be wrong about a saint?
Well, wait a minute. This is my spiritual father asking me.
Your spiritual father just texted you?
Just texted me.
Oh, wow. Is he watching?
Oh. He's saying, make sure that you remember to thank your spiritual father.
Yeah, remember to
yes,
thank him.
Yes.
Yes.
I do owe him all of this because he was the one that recognized. Like I said, it wasn't something that I saw inside myself. I was just, I was content doing what I was doing and everything like that. But he was the one that saw it and developed it, and he never came out and said, I'm your spiritual father. I mean, he just, it just kind of happened. And the next thing you know, I'm in seminary and then all of a sudden I'm a priest now now we're doing this. So yes, Father Nick, thank you very much for all that you have done and put me now in this position.
But he's very proud of you.
We'll see. He didn't write that in the text. No, just said make sure you thank your spiritual father.
I got to know quickly before we move on, Father, did you confess to him? And if so, what was your worst penance? Yeah, we're going there.
So I asked him about and I was older. So I said, should I do a life? I got to do a life confession. They taught me about that in seminary. He's like, I don't have time to listen to your life confession. He says, just hit the highlights, and that's what I did. I hit the big highlights. So.
I'm happy to say that in stillness, and my dear husband Ed was very happy about the silence part. And he frequently reminds me. So thank you, Schnookums. I love you very much. I'm working on it. Have mercy on me.
Oh, I think you need to get penance for calling him Schnookums.
I love calling him Schnookums. He doesn't like it, but I think it's so cute.
I sense that.
Oh, so we had a question just before I was. What was the question?
About the church being wrong about a saint.
Okay. So let's. One example I can think of is the famous example is Saint Ignatius. Okay, because they banned, right? They made up stories about him and they banned him, right? But in the end, the church recognized. Saint John Chrysostom was exiled.
Yes.
Okay. So yes. Politically, the church, capital C, has never been wrong. And that's why they've always come back because the Holy Spirit, softened the hearts of those is in St. John Chrysostom's case and in Ignatius's case. But the people of the church, yes, have been wrong. But I don't know a case where they've been wrong about somebody actually being a saint and they were right about that.
Oh,
right?
I see.
Like they made somebody a saint, and he really shouldn't have been a saint. But I don't have any examples of.
Okay.
All right, I got some statements. Michael, Michaelis 9 says, Father Angelo is my favorite priest-fluencer. That's the first time I ever heard that term before.
Priest-fluencer.
Yes.
Wow, look
that's
at that.
That's high praise, Father, because there's a lot of them.
But it's more responsibility. I mean, because that's why you got to be, that's why you've got to be, careful, and and that's why I want to be careful here, because at some point God's going to humble me, and it's going to be hard.
And Patty and Carol are calling for more singing.
See, there you go.
Don't encourage it.
And it was my spiritual father that turned me on to Bob Dylan.
Oh,
that's
really?
Like his thing.
Wow. So. You have a really cool spiritual father. He should visit. Very cool.
He is supposed to visit. He's supposed to be on the show.
So it's your invitation.
Shame him now.
I know. Yeah.
That's right. Before a live audience.
No. Okay. So we have a question by Dennis Bryan. Revisiting God as the creator of all all things, so that includes space and time, then why do the Orthodox deny he created hell?
Well, because again, in the Orthodox now, it does say that be aware of the coming of Christ for in the judgment, because there's been a place prepared for you for Satan and all of his demons, right?
Yeah.
So there is a place that has been prepared, okay? And remember, it's not God that sends them there. They banish themselves because that is what they will, okay? Their will is that I do not see God's light as warmth. I see it as pain and suffering, okay? So
yes.
or his love, I should say,
right.
The warmth of his love, they see that more as pain and suffering. So in the sense that he has prepared, meaning that they have chosen to banish themselves away from God. Now, again, as you've heard me say, many of the church fathers had different ideas, so not all the church fathers believed that there is a physical lake with fire and all that, but the more prevalent view is that this is a place of isolation, right? Because the other thing we don't believe in is total annihilation.
Right.
If you don't accept God's love, then you're annihilated. No.
Right.
You live in the pain of that loneliness forever.
Wow. Yes, and as you mentioned in Bible study too, Father, that it's God's will that all should be saved and come to the knowledge. So it's not like you said, he's wanting to send his creation to hell.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Let's go down to Richard Rudolph. He has a question here. My kids and I watch a church service live stream almost every night. How active should I be? I do the cross and such by my kids, often falling asleep during.
And I'm sure that Sarah's going to have some commentary on this too, but God wants us to engage physically with other people.
Yes.
You can't hug a vision of somebody on TV. You can't sit down and share an experience with them at coffee hour. You can't communally be together with your family and your friends, worshiping together. And obviously you can't receive communion. God wants us to be in communion with one another, and that's a physical communion. And so all this is a weak and a pale I don't even stopgap. I don't even want to call it that, but it's in no way, it's a start, but it can't stay there. You have to be in physical communion with one another, and that's what the Gospels talk about, and that's what we've practiced. I mean, you've watched us online before, but you've also become a very crucial part of this parish, okay? And I know that you appreciate coming here, talking with the people, seeing the ladies.
I love it.
Right. So, I mean, there's got to be some personal enjoyment there that can't be had staring at a screen.
No, and it edifies your faith too, learning from others. And something that in our recent monastery visit that Sister Marina shared is the importance of remembering that Christ and the angels and the saints are present at Divine Liturgy. So it's important to be there.
Well, we've addressed this part of the question a few times, but the specific point of the question here is when you are watching a live stream, how active should you be? Like when should you do your cross at the appropriate time? Should you stand up, sit down, kneel? Like what is that interaction? Ideal interaction, unless you're physically sick.
This is why we need demos to keep us.
Oh yeah. I was thinking that how many times should I be going to church instead of just I would say be as realistic as you can. So if it's the gospel reading, stand. Okay,
Mhm.
put the donut down, right? Because I mean, I've already talked to my mom. She always tells, "I've got my coffee." All right, but she does. She stands during the gospel.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
during the consecration. Yes, of course, you can kneel during the
Mhm.
during the consecration, recognizing, right? That Christ is truly present everywhere.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Mhm.
So yes, I would encourage those things, because then when you go to church, and especially if you're doing, because it said with their kids, right? So if then your kids kind of learn what
Mhm.
they're supposed to be doing. Again, the Orthodox liturgy to a newcomer can be very intimidating, right?
Yes.
So if they get into that practice, then when they're there, boom, they know exactly what they need to do.
Yes. Great question.
Good clarification there.
Yes.
All right.
What would we do without you?
Hmm?
Okay. Another
Thank you.
another Catholic question, Father. Are you ready? Run Space asks, I'm Catholic and I love the Orthodox Church. I want to follow through the Mass. I believe they mean the Divine Liturgy.
Sure.
But I don't understand a word because nor am I familiar with the structure or where I can teach myself. Can someone help?
Well, I'm taking it that I don't understand. It doesn't mean the language. It just means that I don't know what's going on.
Right.
Right.
Well, I think
Right.
it's both. I think they say they
Yes.
don't understand a word, plus they don't understand the structure. So it's
Yeah.
both.
Well, okay. So number one, find a church that speaks English, assuming that
Mhm.
that's your language. Okay. There's enough of them around.
Yes.
I mean, we try as much as possible. I mean, when we say we, I mean I try as much as possible to make the liturgy at least 80% English.
Mhm.
Okay, so each one of us, have this liturgy
Mhm.
book in front of us. So I always try to make the ending ones, like there'd be a litany, and then the end. I always try to make that in English, so that way if you get lost,
Yep.
you can go like, oh, that's the ending
Yep.
part. I know where I am. Okay, so the answer is one, find yourself a liturgy book. You can find them online.
Mhm.
You can find them on Amazon.
Yep.
And just look up Divine Liturgy of St. John Chrysostom. Order the book. Okay. Try to order the book both like this one, where you've got English on one side and Greek on the other, just so that you have it. Even if you don't know Greek, you're yourself, right?
Yes.
You're slowly learning the characters
Yep.
and kind of how it goes,
Yep.
so that you can kind of read back and forth. So if you're going to get one that has both languages. If you're going to an Antiochian church, maybe they're chanting or doing some liturgy in Arabic, so that you can get an Arabic one.
Oh. There he goes.
Here's one, and the Divine Liturgies in English and Arabic phonetics on the other side.
wow.
So not necessarily in Arabic,
Yes.
right? But in
Yes.
Arabic phonetics, so that, I can, when I hear it, I can go, oh yeah, that's what I'm
Yes.
hearing, that's where I am, right? So I'd say that's kind of your start there.
Another thing
Didn't
is
think I had that, did you?
Yeah, I didn't. I'm impressed.
search the term teaching liturgy in our on our YouTube channel, because we have many live streams where
Yes.
you've gone through everything.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. We got to get that cataloged better somehow.
It's a great resource. Thank
Yeah.
you, Jamos.
Work on
A
that.
good summer video.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were gonna do it this year, but there was an issue with one of the videos, so
Yes,
we had
okay.
to hold it off. Now it became a much bigger project. than
But yeah, I
anticipated.
think if you
Yeah.
put in teaching liturgy, Annunciation, Rochester, then
Yeah.
that will also kind of help get you through. And also the script for that is on our website under Education Resources.
And I'll just add a quick follow up. I'm still a baby Orthodox, only 1 year old, but my first Divine Liturgy. Well, actually, your wife sat with me, so I had a little buddy with me, and that helped a lot. But just give yourself some grace and don't try to kind of understand everything and get everything right. I know there's
That's
so
a-
much
yeah,
anxiety
that's
and
right.
pressure. Just be there to experience it and take it in. And I don't know if you've gone to the traditional Latin masses, but you don't really understand everything that's going on in there. but you're just there to experience, to be in the presence of Christ and his angels and his saints. So just kind of take it in. And if you come here, we'll make sure you have a buddy to kind of to sit with you.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. That's a big thing for me, that I always want somebody, if you're a newcomer, that somebody to sit with you, that you can at least ask some questions and feel a little bit more comfortable that you're not alone. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we have a $20 super chat from Diane. She asked, well,
Hey,
she made
Diane,
a statement
Ted.
earlier. Always a pleasure to see you, Diane. She made a statement earlier because I never say it, so I have to say it more. Please like and subscribe and
yes.
share and all that
smash
jazz.
that like button. Sorry, Damos. I had to.
And but her question is Father Angelo's name day the 25th of March?
Yes, it is,
Oh,
because my name is actually
wow.
Evangelos.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's not
Evangelos.
angel. It's not. So because everybody in like October, November is always saying, "Hey, happy Father's Day, happy name day," right? I'm
Yeah.
like, no, it's Evangelos. Well, why are you called
Evangelos.
Angelo? I'm like, that's my old man liked the name Angelo.
Yeah.
That was his thing.
Did you have a nickname growing up as a kid?
No, I mean,
Other than like pain in the butt or...
well, that's more of a wifely term, but you know, when I was so everybody's always called me Angelo. So, Angelo, right? Okay. So when I got to GM, you know, there was a couple of crusty old engineers there, you know, and you know, this guy's got like 35 years in, you know, he's like, yeah, and I'm the new guy there, you know,
Oh, wow.
and he doesn't want to meet anybody or know anybody. So, you know, I'm over there and I'm like, hi, I'm Angelo. And he's like, well, good for you. I says, I'm
man.
one of the new engineers here. I'll be working. And he goes, okay. He says, good to meet you, Ange. And I'm like,
Yikes.
I'd prefer to be called Angelo. And he goes, I don't care. He goes, I'm calling you Ange. So get out of here. So
oh, no.
That's better than Angie, I
Right?
guess.
Oh,
better
yeah.
than Angie. So, you know, I got over that whole,
Yes.
you know, so, but we need more of that kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Energy?
Yeah.
No, there's another word. We need more of that gusto. You know,
Gusto.
I mean,
Thrasos.
right. Tharos. That's what we need, more Tharos like that. Because I learned so much from those guys because they didn't care.
Yeah.
You know, just because you're young doesn't mean you know anything, you know? And it was a humbling experience, you know? And out of that, you know, I learned how to appreciate, you know, mentors.
Yes.
And then also, you know, how to be a mentor. So we need more of that. We're too soft.
All right, we have a lot of questions still. Let's see if we can get through.
Let's try to get through it.
Last week we did say we're going to go a little bit longer, but I'm hoping that Father let our host know.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm caffeinated. I'm good to go.
Oh, okay. All right.
So watch out. Ooh. So Father, I'm going to test your Spanish. We have a spicy question.
Oh, okay.
Tengo una pregunta muy picante. Let me know if I said that right, Glendalise. Okay. You ready? It's a spicy Catholic question.
Oh, okay. So she said, picante. So I got that.
Picante,
All right.
yes.
Okay.
Una
All right.
pregunta picante.
Yeah, pregunta picante. Okay.
Yes, okay. Why do these GOC priests insist on continuing to wear the dog collar as if they were Catholic priests? Ooh.
Well, you were kind of barking when you're in your story earlier, so.
You did, yeah.
Which one?
Yeah, you're.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes, I was. Yeah.
So,
okay. All right.
that lines up.
Is it? Yeah.
So, you know, so actually, okay.
Oh, collar's off.
Well, I guess when you're wearing the underi, it's not necessary.
It's not. No.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's not necessary. This question has come up before. It is the norm. It is the norm to wear the andari. That is the working uniform of the Orthodox priest. Okay, so let's start right there. However, you know, there is always obedience to the bishop, right? That is always obedience to the bishop. There are certain bishops, like our bishops, who prefer to make a distinction between we who are Christian and those who are Islam.
Yeah.
Okay, and what he says is in America, they're not educated about Orthodoxy for the most part.
Right.
Okay, so walking around like this, does not immediately identify me as Christian.
Right.
Right.
You could look like an imam.
And look like an imam, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so one, it prevents the ability to witness. Okay. And it can, in certain instances, depending, it can be difficult for the priest, right? Okay. So what he says is, look, he says, so what he says is where what people in the culture understand. Now, when I go to Greece, this is what you wear in Greece, okay? Or if you go to if you go to Africa, or any place like that, this is what the normal uniform is going to be, if I could use the word uniform. Okay, but here in America, he wants us to wear the collar so that we are recognized as Christians. But you are correct that this is the proper.
And when we do
attire.
Tartan Priest Africa, you'll be wearing it all the time.
Yes.
With my tartan, with my kilt underneath. Right.
Great answer, Father. Okay, so another question about marriage here. So JLK3 asks, can I, as a convert, marry a Protestant who is a Trinitarian and has agreed to baptize the kids as Orthodox?
Sure. I mean, I have plenty of them. I mean, the only restriction is that Orthodox can only marry those who are Christian. Okay. So now there are certain Christian denominations that don't necessarily require baptism until the age of reason. So a lot of them they wait, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have encountered where, yes, I grew up non-denominational, but we never got around to being baptized. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, and then I ask them, what do you want to be baptized as? And sometimes they will say, look, I'm not really connected with the church. I'd like to, be the same, be the same as my husband or wife. I want to be baptized Orthodox. Fine. But some of them come and they're very, very connected to their church. They grew up with that pastor. They grew up with that Catholic priest, and that's what they want. Okay. And they want to stay there. And so if they found Jesus Christ there and the Trinity, okay, then I leave them alone. So I have plenty of them who have said to me, I don't want to convert. I'm very happy where I am, and I believe that, salvation exists here where I am.
Yeah. Okay. Just a quick answer to scrambled egg, because this is an easy answer. Okay. Father, would you be willing to have your Bible study on YouTube? I live in Florida, but I'd love to attend. We'd love to have you.
I think so. The problematic there is that I don't think it could be as interactive. I mean,
on this format,
in this format, because what I love about the Zoom Bible study that we do is it's a very intimate group. We're typically anywhere about 10 to 12. Okay. And so everybody kind of gets the chance.
But it's local. It's a parish.
Oh, it's a parish.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's the thing. I mean, Father is here I mean, it would end up being this show.
Yeah.
Essentially, if we did it on YouTube, because we have over 23,000 subscribers. If we have 100 people watching right now, it would no longer be a parish only Bible study. There is going to be a separation of things that Father has to do at a parish level and things they can do here on a digital level.
And I think taking Demos's comments there a little bit further, what is proper, because it's parish level, is to engage with a local parish. This is kind of an entry point, right? But then I want to get involved. We've always said, don't let this be the end all. Get involved in the community.
Yes.
And every community has a Bible study.
Yes.
And be part of that physical Bible study.
Yes.
But in the future, it might come up with something, but it won't be the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But that way they establish a relationship with their local priest.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. Just have to shout out JRO from the Licks. I am from a 90s hip hop group. I love 90s hip hop. I love 90s music in general. So Awesome. And I had a chance to travel all over the world before meeting my wife, who is Russian. I became Orthodox over 2 years ago. To God be the glory. That's fantastic.
That's
Congrats.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Great story.
Thanks for sharing that. You know, Father has a secret ability to rap. We believe in you.
Oh, ooh,
Yeah.
okay,
Sometimes
all right.
when you're intoning, it sounds like you're rapping a little bit. So
I always remember that Simpsons episode where he starts, and then Bart and Lisa go, "Don't ever do that again, Dad. Don't ever do that again." And that's what Terry does. I try to do that, and then she's like, "Don't ever do that again."
and Davis
Singing, beatboxing.
That's
That's not even a bingo square, man.
I know. We're creating new bingo squares today.
Please read Santa Man 1's comment.
Yes. Okay. Ready for this, Father?
I don't know. Maybe.
Judas was the first Christian to receive Holy Communion and leave before the service ended. Oh. Oh. So.
We can laugh about that later.
Yes. Okay.
I never thought about it in that way. Okay.
By the way, I did dip out last night because I had to go and start heating up food. So I did slip out.
You did? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
but it wasn't because I was leaving. I wanted to heat up the
hopefully
food
not
for the
when I was
potluck.
coming out with the veil.
No,
where you
no,
couldn't
no,
see
no.
me and go, hey,
No.
Father can't see me now. So okay, good.
Excommunicated.
Yeah.
I've been excommunicated by you like 15 times. Like, Father, there's nowhere else for me to go.
No.
Oh. Okay, here we go. AZ. Hi, Father and company. I'm curious. As a Roman Catholic, can I attend a Greek Orthodox liturgy? Great question.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, you did, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
So, yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with attending. Again, and as a Catholic, you know this, that the Orthodox, the only thing that you won't be allowed to do is to receive communion, right? But I have quite a few people here who are Catholic, but they attend with their spouses.
Yes.
Or they just come because they enjoy our liturgy. And I did have in my last parish, she came to me and she said, "Father, does coming to the Orthodox Church meet my Catholic obligation of Sunday?" And I said, "I don't know." So I says, "Ask your priest." So she came back the next week and she said the priest said yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh,
that
wow.
it meets the obligation.
There you go. So now Lena can come.
Now,
Yes.
now Lena can come. But
I'm going to get her.
Right, but Father Bob Worth is very leery
That's our
of mine.
secretary, if anybody's wondering.
Okay, so, Ryan Pellejo has a really good question, and it kind of relates to me a little bit, or I should say I can relate to it. Genesis 24, verses 22 and 47 mention Rebecca being gifted a nose ring. Many Christians don't like nose piercings and etc. Do we have to defer to culture for neutral issues like adornments? That's a great
I wonder what
question.
inspired that question. Yeah.
Great
It was
question, Ryan.
A little on the nose.
It was right.
I can't.
So
I can't.
that was 20.
Genesis chapter 24, verses 22 and 47. I do remember this account with Rebecca being gifted a gold nose ring. So,
But okay, so that's what I'm wondering. Okay, the man she quickly finished giving a drink. Okay, and the man wondering to know whether the Lord made his journey. So it was when the camels finished drinking. The man took golden earrings, each a drachma in weight, and 2 bracelets for her wrists, 10 pieces of gold in their weight, and said, "Whose daughter are you?" Where does it say that it was a nose ring?
I wonder if that could just be a different translation as well.
Yeah, because in my ESV, study Bible, I have seen it as nose ring.
So this is how we solve this. Is we go to Chabad.org because that is.
Yeah, so in our Orthodox Study Bible, it's a different translation. So that's it.
So text and write. Chabad.org is the Hebrew translation, so that I can The
So we're
Torah.
going
Well-
straight to the translation.
I'm going
Yes.
straight to this is at least the best translation. Oh, what am I doing? Jeez.
Here we go.
There it is.
While you're doing that-
three times, that's one bingo square.
Oh, we even got a little.
I got this. I got this as you know what my
The Pentateuch. Wow.
the Pentateuch and the Haftarahs that are the explanations,
yes.
right? So when everybody in seminary has to do some type of like pastoral ministry to practice.
Mm-hmm.
So because of my family situations, I picked hospice.
Oh.
Okay, and one of the guys that I had, he was Jewish, you know, and all he wanted me to do was take him to Shabbat.
Oh,
That's what he
yeah,
wanted.
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
bring
I
me
see
to
that.
Shabbat.
Yes.
So he did, you know, and then just before he passed away, he gave me his book.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so this is
That's
it's
very
kind of
generous of
special
him.
because you know it's from him.
While you're looking that up, Carol Weaver adds that in the King James version, it said nose ring.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so
So that was Genesis chapter 24 and verses 22 and 47.
Genesis 26.
And while you're looking that up, KED says Father Maggos is the only priest on YouTube who has fun and is normal, relatable. So many of the others are a bit haughty, and I hate to say it, remind me of the Pharisees.
That's hilarious. Oh man.
Did you say Father was normal?
Yeah, that's the only thing that's
Wow.
kind of iffy, but you know.
But no, it's a great comment.
Okay.
And while you're looking at that, shout out Presbytera. Thank you so much. I can never fill your shoes though. Your sharp wit and Scottish humor pale in comparison to me trying to catch up with these two.
Well, you know, because she's the priest's wife, she has the ability to be able to hit him over the head.
Oh, it's hilarious. I love when she just gives him the eyes. Like, come on. By the way,
Yeah, let's keep going. So look, so here in the Haftarah it says nose ring. So Jewish translation is a nose ring. Okay.
So
going back.
yeah, how
okay.
does that fit into our Orthodox faith? So as Ryan asked, many Christians don't like nose piercings and etc. So do we have to defer to culture for neutral issues like adornments?
I mean, I don't know if I would go so far as to say, well, because it was done in the Old Testament, then you can do it. I mean,
Right,
because that's not, we're not followers of Jewish law. I would just more argue that, you know, we allow some degree of ornamentation.
Mhm.
But the question is always, what are you trying to accomplish with that?
Yes,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, because why is a nose piercing different from an ear piercing, right? I mean, you know, you're still piercing a part of the body, but it is traditional among women, right, that they have their ears pierced. Okay, and it has become more of a modern tradition. I see more women like yourself that have a nose ring. Okay. And what St. Paul was saying was the over preoccupation with ornamentation is what was problematic.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to create an allure, right?
Yes,
so
attention
I'm
to
drawing
yourself.
attention to myself. Okay. And so that's when tattoos and piercings and things like that, that's when, you know, you're trying to create your body as some kind of artistic form that people can look at, right?
Yes.
And I don't think that that's what you're doing necessarily with your,
No,
you know, with
I've
your,
actually had this since I was 18. So I've had this for a long time. And actually, Father, I did ask you about this during my catechism. I asked you, I was like, Father, I'm all in. Should I take out my nose ring? And you said no.
So
Yes.
So yeah.
So real quick, we have Frank Cost is in saying, is it possible to have too much fun during podcasts during Lent?
Yeah, that's that's true. I mean, okay, so
we got to simmer down.
Patty says, in my opinion, Lent is a joyful time. And Costa V goes on to add, Father has a plethora of talents. So
He does.
So
yeah.
Look, you know, we're not saying that, you know, during Lent you have to walk around down in the dumps. We're not saying that. But what we are saying is that we want to be more reserved.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's not that we can't joke around and have fun and everything like that, but we just want to have a more reserved attitude. Right?
Yes.
But it doesn't require us to, kind of, look like, sad Greeks all the time.
No, even the sisters were joyful at the monastery.
Right.
And that really inspired me when I was preparing some of the food for the potluck yesterday. Because typically I'm like Martha, where I'm neurotic. I'm like, oh, there's like 3 people over. I'm freaking out. There's like dust on the baseboards. And I'm just like noticing things that nobody cares about. But the sisters were just calm, cool, collected, and serving joyfully. They were smiling. They were laughing amongst themselves. They were laughing with us, asking us how the food was. Do you need anything? Just leave your plates
here. You saw the other priest
here.
that was there. We were kind of joking around with one another.
You guys became besties. Yeah.
Well, what was your term they used? Fun nuns? Yeah.
Fun nuns.
They were. They were great. Okay. Wow. So where are we going next? Carol. Yeah. See, we were having too much fun, and then I lost my place. So, yes.
There you go.
There we go. Oh, shame on me. Okay, Carol. So many men here taking a lead with the children I see here. Father Angelo, do you feel there has been a change in the church and more of the dads are leading and coming to church more?
110%. Absolutely.
Yes.
I know most of the people of my age, my generation, their dads were not really that involved. My dad was not a churchgoer, I mean, he's not like a non-believer or anything like that, but church wasn't his thing. His favorite saying was, I went to church when I was a kid and I've got enough tickets now to go to heaven, So that was his joke, that's what we used to joke around. So, those parents weren't really those dads, weren't really involved. And I've talked to quite a few of the guys my generation talked about their dads, and their dads they didn't really go. So it's not uncommon. But I'm telling you now, they are very involved, and I think a big part of that is that the wives are insisting on a much more active fatherhood, right? My dad got away with a lot of stuff because my mom was more willing to do that, So he had more the traditional role that we would think of. So my mom did let him get away with a lot of stuff. Women today, yourself, Presbytera, Dionysia, are not letting us get away with that kind of, feed me at 5 o'clock. I don't want this. Don't serve me that. Why are the toilets not clean? None of that is happening.
I know Ed's gonna text me and be like, "Don't get any ideas."
No, if anything, my wife says I go to church too much. I wonder why.
There can never be too much going to church.
Patty got bingo.
Oh wow! Congrats, Patty.
Okay, all right. So Patty gets the blessing.
Yeah.
I wonder, is that the blackout bingo? So we had one earlier, so normal. Did you fill up the whole page? I'm curious.
Yeah.
So she must have got it because I've jumped up like 3 times now.
Yes.
So.
And you started singing, which, by the way, we do have a question about that. Has Father singing ever caused... Sorry, I can't read this with a straight face. Has Father singing ever caused a copyright strike on any of the Q&A videos?
No, but
not
funny
yet.
enough, a long time ago on a different channel that I ran, I had somebody hum the Magnum PI theme, and it did get struck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I fought and won, but it happened.
Oh, wow.
Wow. They're crazy.
I know.
The biggest issue I've ever had with copyright with our channel has been actually just bots trying to claim that our ancient hymns are owned by somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Okay. So next question from Defrael. Hello, Father. If one is doing the monastic fast where they cannot eat oil except for Sundays, are products such as cashews with a negligible amount of added vegetable oil permissible?
Yes, because when I went to Mount Athos, nuts were part of the diet that was there. So yeah, that's fine. It's the processing, right? It's the processing of it that is it causes the part of the restriction. Okay, because processing was expensive. So you're
Yes,
spending money
yes.
where you shouldn't be spending it. Right? But just eating nuts, no, that's fine.
Diane is in with a $2 super chat, pointing
thank you,
out.
Diane.
Oh, and Diane also
Yeah.
gave me a whole article about nose rings.
Yeah,
Oh,
From the Jewish
wow.
Encyclopedia.
that's exactly it. And
Wow.
apparently, the same Hebrew word was used for both nose rings and earrings.
God.
But
Really?
there is a specific
Wow.
indication to indicate which way. It
Oh,
goes.
okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know,
Well,
and Diane's always on top with the research. You know, she is like
Yes.
research queen. I'm telling
thank you, Diane. Well, if Father did tell me to take it out, I would. I did ask him in the catechism. So
Yep.
I had bigger fish to fry, though. So, ooh.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to Richard because he asked a good question. We seem to be on a Catholic train of questions tonight.
Yeah, we always
so,
kind of get a theme, right?
yeah.
We're always
Well,
kind of.
if it's a question I think you're asking, it's not really Richard's question. It's his daughter's
Oh,
question.
it is. You're right. Yes. So Lynn
Mhm.
asks, why do Catholic churches in certain areas of the states have no icons?
I'll tell you what. Most of the Catholic churches that I've visited, both in my last parish, in all three of my parishes, let's say, I've always seen that they now have more and more
Yes.
Catholic icons.
That's true.
They have more icons,
Yes.
right, as opposed to statues.
Yes.
So, in the one church that I was good friends with the priest that was there, you know, his church was well adorned
Yes.
with iconography. St. Michael's in Rochester here on Culver. Very, very old Germanic church from the 1930s, I think,
Mhm.
is adorned with iconography on the
Oh,
walls.
wow.
Yeah, there's
Look at that.
huge amounts of iconography. It's beautiful.
Wow.
But what about the churches that don't have it? I mean, so you can how do you answer that for Lynn?
You mean why they don't have it?
Mm-hmm.
I just think that it's something that for some churches it hasn't become part of their tradition. All right, a lot of Catholic churches are starting to see that art is beautiful, whether it's a statue or whether it's a painted icon, and so that's just some churches catch on to that quicker than others.
Mm-hmm. An answer. Oh. Defrael, yes. Oh. Does he have another question?
Right? Did you ask the one about the
Yes,
oil? Okay.
I did,
Oh,
yes.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yes. See, now we're keeping you in line, Damo. So
Yeah, there we go. Very good.
oh,
Well,
forgive
sometimes
me.
I need it too. No, actually, we have a 100 NOK. Is that? I think that's Netherlands. I could be wrong. Super chat. I am doing a catechesis.
Catechesis?
Thank you. Catechesis in the Greek Orthodox Church.
Oh.
I am on my path to become Orthodox. Love the Byzantine chants. I recently began watching you, Father. Big fan from a Norwegian guy in Norway. So those are Norwegian
Wow.
dollars, krona.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So absolutely, before priesthood, I had several trips to Norway.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
When you were
I
in the
had-
army?
no. This was
Oh.
afterwards. After
Mhm.
GM, I had a couple of clients that were in Norway, and in fact, this last one was to Christian land, and I'm trying to remember. I think that was Norway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was Sweden. I think Christian land that was in Norway.
Very interesting.
I was actually in Norway recently, about 2 years ago. Right after we went to Scotland, I went to Norway for a little bit and was shocked that it was warmer than Scotland.
Yeah,
That's all I got to
yeah,
say.
Really?
right?
Norway
Mhm.
was warmer than Scotland.
I learned something new today. Wow, incredible. Well, thanks for sharing that with us, and best
Yeah.
of luck on your journey. Keep tuning in, and I hope the choir sounds good too. Although we have been getting a lot of compliments that we sound extra good lately. So
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen quite between with the work that you guys have done with Joel and now with
Jabal.
Jabal.
Mhm.
I think that's everybody always benefits from training.
Yes, yes. It's like a sister act kind of thing, like Sister Mary
Sister-
Clarence. Like that's our Jabal. So yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, FM Jude. It's not a question, but let's comment on this, Father. I think we might both be able to help. So he says, I'm new to Orthodoxy and I'm honestly not sure where to start, especially because I don't have an Orthodox church nearby. Any thoughts on that?
And I think we've had this before. There's always an Orthodox church nearby.
Well, yeah, but relatively speaking, because, the thing about the United States is we don't have a very good public transport.
Can you tell us this United States?
We don't.
We don't know.
Well, let's assume that, that they are, and so that's not always easy to get to.
Oh, FM Jude, you got him to stand up, so it's getting serious.
So this probably is, from an intro standpoint, I really love this book by Presbytera Frederica Matthew Green, Welcome to the Orthodox Church. A little bit of history, a little bit of culture, understanding the liturgy. She does an excellent job of just for somebody very new to the faith. Mm-hmm. So this is an excellent starter book right here. So I would highly recommend Presbytera Matthew Green's book, Welcome to the Orthodox Church.
And I would also recommend a book that helped me a lot was by Dr. Jeannie Constantino, who's also Presbytera. Constantino, Thinking Orthodox.
Yes. That's because, and where that really helps is understanding an Eastern mind. Yes. Right.
Yes.
And for somebody, most of us who come from the West, that is a very, very difficult thing. Even, okay, fine. I'm Greek. I get it. But I grew up with a Western mind because I'm in the West. So a lot of what she said, I was like, oh man, you're right. Yeah. I do think like that. So, I am influenced by that, and it helped me kind of recover my roots a little bit better. Yeah. Excellent book.
Jack Pest did actually send us a reference to a medical journal for the question earlier about monks dying of that specific cancer. I'm not going to read the title of it because there's a sexual term in it. But we'll take a look at it and we'll comment on it next week.
Well, no, thanks for providing that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Ooh, Costa has an excellent question. So
okay,
I'm nerding out about this. Is it okay to use artificial intelligence, for example, ChatGPT, to interpret verses from the Bible?
Okay, so look, I gotta be honest. I have I have been enamored by AI on Google.
Yes.
I think that it is a great starting point, but it cannot be left to its own devices.
Exactly.
Because it's searching from a more Western perspective. So when I ask questions, it'll come up, but what it does is it leads me to places that I, with my discernment, can then tell what is the right answer. So AI, yes, AI is very helpful, but again, as with everything, discernment, right?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I've used AI quite a bit. I've always been interested in seeing what the answer is, but you can fall prey to what is called the Gelman amnesia effect. So let's just say I look up something about James Bond, right? I happen to know a lot about the James Bond series, but I notice, hey, it got something wrong. It said that George Lazenby was the first James Bond or something. Right? Completely wrong, Sean Connery. But I'll say, hey, that's weird, that's wrong. But then the next 3 times on a topic I'm not really familiar with, I'll just take it at face value as being correct. I forget about the fact that I was a subject matter expert in this one area.
Yeah.
So always triple check.
Yes.
It's like the ethics of journalism. Always look at 3 sources.
Yeah.
That's a really, really good point.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
It's also important to keep in mind. I learned this recently since we use it at work and we've had some training on it, that it does want to please you. So, for example, in something more subjective, like you were saying, that requires human discernment, if we upload a design to it or a layout or something and say, hey, what do you think of this? Is this good? It's going to say it's good.
Oh, okay.
Even if it's not. So
right.
As Demos and Father reiterated, use discernment and always follow up with some other reputable sources.
As long as it doesn't say, I am God, worship me.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. I feel like we need a disclaimer. Like
we would have
we're not
a different
liable.
problem.
Yes.
When that happens.
Oh, wow. Okay. See, I'm having way too much fun, and then I push.
See?
I'm a Mac user, and then I push a button, and I'm like, where are we going? Okay.
So now all I can think of is, I'm sorry, but I can't do that. Was it? How was the computer?
That's
but
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah. But what was
Oh,
the-
hell.
Yeah.
How was the computer? But he was talking to
Dave.
Oh, sorry, Dave. I
No,
can't
you do that
that
voice so good, and
Right.
it creeps me out. You know what I would say when Ed and I watch that movie? I say, hell no. Hell no.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
because it's a no for me. I would have shut him down very quickly.
Oh.
I've seen Terminator. I've seen way too many sci-fi movies. We know how this ends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What is the we should be wrapping up very, very soon now, but what is the
Never.
Orthodox interpretation or view on AI in general, or the idea that it may gain a consciousness?
Well, but in
Ooh.
that the best that it can do from an Orthodox perspective is that it can accumulate data and process that data, but it cannot acquire a soul.
Ooh.
Right?
Yes.
So it will only be the sum of its parts. That's the best it can be.
Oh.
We are not the sum of our parts
Right.
because we're more than that,
Yes,
right?
yes.
We're imbued with the consciousness and a knowledge that we have a creator.
Right.
Okay. And that creator is not a human person like AI would
Right.
think, right? But that we can think beyond ourselves, and the fact that, as the famous philosopher says, I think, therefore I am, to understand our own and be aware of our own consciousness. So,
Wow.
no.
I still don't trust it.
Well, I mean,
I've seen Terminator, so.
well, I'm thinking more of war games, right? They launched the,
Yes.
and then a 5-year-old kid's got to save him, or 12-year-old kid, whatever. 12-year-old kid saves him.
When the fate of the world rests on Matthew Broderick, we have a different problem.
Yeah, well, there.
Yes.
That's true.
Actually, Thunder Norse just threw in a question that connects to this. Could a demon control AI like ChatGPT?
Well.
Well,
Good
no,
question.
not the AI, but the programmers, right? Certainly, the programmers can be influenced, right, to write code that would more lean to that.
And would you say, Father, because AI is aggregating from human knowledge and human research, that because some of that has been influenced by, demonic thinking, that
Right, good and
could,
evil.
yes,
Right, yeah.
so it could pull some of that and then serve that up. Okay.
Yeah, and how does it make moral decisions?
Yes.
Right?
Oh, that's true.
I mean,
how does
right?
it define morality? Wow, we're getting serious here. So,
in fact, to just really quick take it down a path, there are, and now I'm going to nerd out on you. There are 5 levels of autonomous driving.
Oh.
Okay, and the lowest level is where the car will drive itself, but I must consistently monitor it. That's the lowest level.
Oh.
The highest level is that the car will make all the decisions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're at level 3, meaning that the car can make most of the decisions, lane changing, traffic spacing, but they can't make life or death situation. So level 5 AI for a car is I decide what is the best to do. So the scenario is, I'm approaching now a situation where if I avoid the mother and her baby carriage, I will crash into a pole, which will kill all the occupants.
Yes.
How does a machine make that moral decision, right?
Wow.
And so that's why level 5, it can't, we make the decision. There is no right decision, right? Somebody dies. Okay.
Yes.
So, but we as humans can make that decision. Machine can't.
So, Father, I'll leave you with this. I promise we're going to move on, Demos. So Ed and I actually took a self-driving taxi when we were in San Francisco in September. And yes, I was doing the Orthodox insurance policy. I was crossing myself the whole time. I sat in the front seat, and it was actually a really good driver. I was surprised how it navigated the busy San Francisco streets. But it's a never again for me. So
Yeah.
Well, there's a video of somebody who got stuck in one doing a loop around the parking lot.
Yes.
I still don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened. And
it went viral, but for all we know, the guy's still there.
And they beep at each other. They congregate at night and they start beeping at each other, and they don't know why they do that. So,
but when it comes to the morality of it, of course,
Yes.
it really it's imbued by the morality of its programmer,
Exactly.
and how can you trust and of course that opens up a bigger question of morality. Is there such a thing as morality that is distinguishable from the church?
oh, like objective morality and subjective.
So, and the Orthodox
Oh,
Church says
wow.
no, that morality
Yes.
cannot exist outside of the church.
And that that's
Because then morality becomes subjective, right?
Yes.
And for
Yes.
us, morality is objective.
Yes.
all right, let's finish off with 2 questions because
Yes.
I'm
Man,
gonna keep going.
We're
We have a super chat.
philosophical. Wow.
We really nerded out, so I hope you enjoyed that.
We have a super chat from Diane that connects to this, and we'll also answer a question from Oki Bearded Dad. Diane says, "Is a soulless creature with knowledge demonic?"
A soulless creature.
Does a soulless
Oh.
creature necessarily need to have knowledge to be demonic if it has no soul
Um,
to begin with?
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, we believe that everything is imbued with a soul. Animals have a different soul than ours, okay, but it is still a soul.
I think this connects to the AI.
The AI.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's a soulless creature with knowledge.
Yeah, but it cannot be immoral because it doesn't have the essence of morality. I mean,
But can it be demonic?
what?
Okay.
No, I don't know. Because then it's biased, right? You know, a properly programmed machine is going to weigh out what is the good, what is the bad, and then what is the option. So it's not it's not unless the programmer is biased. But a properly programmed machine cannot be biased. It just makes a decision based on the input, the information that it has.
So it can't be demonic because from the Orthodox perspective, it's never going to have true consciousness, and therefore it will be a faux doppelganger from whatever amalgamation of creators it has had.
Yeah, it's the sum of its parts.
Yes.
Right. Good question though. Wow.
Oh, real quick, we have another question by Nicholas Herosterios. I think that's right. Where can I buy the Orthodox Lenten cookbook? I think he's talking about cooking with Beebugs.
Oh yeah, and Amazon. You can get that
Yes.
on Amazon, and it's oh man, I wish I could just remember the
Something delights.
Lenten delights around the world.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Actually, I have the picture on screen.
Oh, good. Well, there you go.
Right
Good
now.
man.
I should remind folks, this is not a paid promotion, but our viewer cooking with Beebug, he worked really hard on this, and we love the book, so we're letting people know. It is a promotion out of love.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
we helped inspire him.
Yes.
So right.
right.
Yeah.
Final question. Okie Bearded Dad.
I love the handle. Wait, where did he go?
I got it if you want.
From Okinawa?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, Damos, you're gonna yell at me. One more thing. Sentiment 1. Yes, I agree. AI is all fun and games until Skynet comes online. It's real. Yes.
I do not want to live in a world where it becomes a documentary. You know, Idiocracy is already a documentary, okay?
Exactly.
We add the Terminator on top of that. Give me a break. We didn't even get RoboCop yet. Well, we have RoboCop, but it's not Peter Weller. Okay, come on.
There's Robo Priest. I mean, you can do AI confession.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. That's just
I'm doing
scary.
I'm doing that next. Okay, sorry guys. Okay. So, Father Angelo, hello from Okinawa again. I would like to know if we have a patron saint for anger. I want to read about them because it's something I deal with constantly. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, we don't have, as far as that, we don't have a patron saint for anger, but we have so much writing about how to deal with anger. We don't necessarily need a patron saint for that. because we don't have a patron saint for vices, for virtues.
Right.
Right.
That's a really good point.
But we don't have one. But the Philokalia, the Ladder of Divine Ascent, all of those speak about anger and what is proper anger and what is improper anger. So we don't have a saint for it, but we have so many of the fathers writing about it, especially in the monastic texts.
Father, what about, I'm inspired by our recent visit to Agia Scepi, and Sister Marina was talking about Saint Nectarios and how much he dealt with in terms of slander and abuse, and how much he could have been angry in those opportunities, but he chose forgiveness and compassion. And so is that, is his example or other examples of like some of the fools for Christ, are they a witness for someone who's struggling with anger?
They are, the fool for Christ, as she brought it up, which is true, that they hide their to be humble.
Right.
They hide it with foolish acts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You or I could not do that. It would be inappropriate for us. I mean, you can't walk around, people thinking you're a fool. I mean, that's just not. So those types of things can't work for us, right? That are in the world. But the lesson that we can take is that, always see the image of Christ in the other person. So humble ourselves to say, okay, you know what's going on in their life, and sometimes we don't take the time. You've said that too. Road rage, things like that. You never know what that person is really going through, and just in humility to just see that image and likeness. That's the lesson that we need to take away from that.
I just want to throw one last question, because it kind of lines up with something I was saying earlier. The no-pill man. Got no Orthodox church in my city, and I'm too poor to drive. What do I do? So that's why I kind of meant earlier. Transportation can be a problem. Now, one thing that we've said on the show a few times before, Father, I think you would agree, is you try to find the closest one, reach out to the priest, and see if either an accommodation can be made, or sometimes they might even have, they might even be able to carpool.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and like I said, that's what the priest is there for, is to help solve those problems, to bring you to Christ, right? So that's what the priest does, So like Demos said, call, find out, is there a carpool? Is there a taxi that can get me there? Can you help me with the funds? I mean, I've got people here that that we've helped, so that they can get here. We found them transportation or whatever it is. So where there is God, there's a way.
Oh, yes. Perfect way to sum that up.
All right. And we're still getting a couple more questions in, but we'll have to save them for next week. It's we've gone for 2 hours.
Wow.
It really flew by tonight,
It did.
Yeah, actually, and I'm awake. And you appear awake. I don't know.
For now.
If, you're properly caffeinated, as you said before.
Yes.
So, all right. So, again, thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Great.
So good questions. And then I like the way that you feed off of those questions, and then we kind of enter into a dialogue.
That's what I do.
It always gets Demos going, because like, oh, come on, people, But you know what? Conversation is good too.
I like banter. I like good banter.
You do.
I approve.
You qualified that. You said good banter.
Yes.
So.
And
because I'm very careful.
I know.
And Sarah appreciates my singing and wishes I would sing more. So, maybe we should end on a song.
So remember something I said earlier about good banter. Yeah, I'm just
going to
I want to notate that one.
So, tune in next week. Father's going to rap.
Oh.
You're going to bust a rhyme.
So you're just saying that because you won't be hosting next week.
Exactly.
I'll still be here.
Exactly. I know.
I'm always here.
I know. Patience. No. Demos, I'm trying to cultivate patience with you.
No,
that's what I gave up for Lent.
No, I'm just going to do the Be Happy song.
The Be Happy song.
Right.
Don't worry, be happy.
Don't worry, be happy,
I can't.
I got no love. Now my wife knows. No.
I can't. I'm too caffeinated for this.
So,
wow.
That's right. So
we got him started.
So anyway, yes, tune in for more singing.
Yes.
and answering a few questions. But again, Sarah, it was great to have you in the seat
Thank
again. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to having you back again. Other than that, thanks everybody for staying tuned in for such a long time.
Yes.
But we won't do it every time, because not all my guests.
I think people like the 2 hour
show. Yes, but the host cannot necessarily tolerate the 2 hours.
No, I can't tolerate 2 hours of singing. That's a problem. I have no problem with 2 hours.
But again, thanks everybody. Have a great night, and we will see you. If not on Sunday, we'll see you then next. We're not live streaming next week, but the following week is live stream for pre-sanctified and Akathistos.
Yes, we will. We will be live streaming the last pre-sanctified liturgy and the last the Akathis to the Theotokos.
Right.
We'll still be doing this show next week though, so nobody gets confused.
Oh yeah. So we'll be here next week. Right.
Yes.
Right.
I think the only Thursday we're taking off coming up would be Holy Week. And because we'll be doing other
we're not doing
live streams at the exact same time. So.
Yeah.
I'll be busy during Holy Week.
Yes.
Slightly busy.
Just a little bit.
Slightly. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Kalinitas us.
Wow. Very nice.
Yes.